The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on live shows.
It's not something that you want to necessarily talk about, especially with people that you know, because you don't really want anybody knowing what your way, really.
That documentary has made more people vegetarians than anything else. And what is it?
I couldn't even eat one of them. My tongue felt like it swelled up. My feet instantly at the booth felt like they didn't, like Mr. Clump, like my feet were busting out of my shoes, right?
As far as Jetson, I don't care because he makes fat jokes with me all the time. So.
This is the After Action Project, and we're bringing you the student's perspective on firearms training. This is the podcast that takes you inside the eyes of the student and the mind of the instructor, from practical to tactical, medical to legal, and everything in between. If there's a course for it, this is your fly on the wall after action destination. This is the After Action Project.
So last week, if you guys missed last week's episode, we announced the first winner of our Southwest Gunsmith Technologies gift certificate giveaway. If you want to find out more information about that or enter to win, go to afteractionproject.com/giveaway. That's afteractionproject.com/giveaway. That giveaway is sponsored by Southwest Gunsmith Technologies here in New Mexico. Rick Kennedy and those guys over there are doing some awesome stuff. So if you want to get some killer Cerakote work done to your firearm, or some laser stippling done. Did I say it right this time?
You said it right this time.
Yes. Next week I'll go back to saying stipling or whatever the mispronunciation of it is. So check those guys out. Southwest Gunsmith Technologies on all of your favorite social media platforms. Rick Kennedy, you might recognize him from Master of Arms. He was on that. He made an appearance on that series and does great work. I know he builds a bunch of competition 1911s for some folks down here in New Mexico. And those guys just put me to shame and embarrass me anytime I'm on the line with those folks. So I might need to see if he can do some of his voodoo magic to my M&Ps. Tonight, we are talking to Isaac of Kings Nutrition. He is a nutritionist and wellness coach. His student, Lisa, joins us to talk about his 13-week nutrition and wellness program. There are two options available for that. You can do, if you're local to Isaac here in Albuquerque, you can do a 13-week program with a weekly in-person check-in. If you're not in Albuquerque, we still have some great news for you. You can take advantage of of his coaching and wellness program and all of his expertise via his online program. And instead of the weekly in-person check-ins, you do those via video conference. Is that right, Isaac?
Video conference or phone conversations, yes, sir.
Excellent. Isaac, talk to us a little bit about your 13-week nutrition and wellness program. But before you get into that, tell us what led you to this place in your life where you're coaching over 160 people on how they can become the better version of themselves, the person that they want to become.
Well, basically, I grew up being morbidly obese since about 7 years old. It's about when I was 32 years old. My doctor told me at that time that, not only was I unhealthy, but I suffered from diabetes, sleep apnea, high cholesterol, everything you could associate with being morbidly obese. Not to mention I had pains in my joints and I was getting the onset of some arthritis in my hips. So, it's very painful at 32 years old just to walk around and to move around, and especially do my daily activities at work. So, I had to come up with a game plan. And one of the things that happened to me is I dislocated my hip. And I gained 20 pounds even quicker than that. So I went from about 300 to 321 in no time at all. And I just didn't feel well. So, I put some fixes in place. I kind of did it an unhealthy way at first. And I lost about 100 pounds, and I didn't like how I looked. I was very soft. I had no muscle tone. I was starving myself, basically running any scam that was out there, right? Any pills, any fees, any stickers, whatever anybody would sell me, I was willing to take, because guess what? This was my life at stake, and I didn't know where to go, because all my life I could lose some weight, but then I'd gain it back even quicker than I lost it, right? You know, the problem is I was addicted to food, and it took me a long time to figure that out, especially because I'd go to nutritionists through my doctors, and they'd give me the food pyramid, and they'd say, pick what you want off the food pyramid, and you should get healthy and lose weight. Well, I like bread and I like cheese. You won't lose weight eating bread and cheese all the time and just a little bit of the other stuff, right? So just know at the end of the day, I wasn't doing it right. I met a coach. She helped me turn my life around. I always worked out, so that wasn't an issue. So I was one of those ones that went to the gym, and I was very overweight, but I went every day and I worked very hard, and I couldn't change my appearance. So, she taught me how to, eat better and reach my goals. She helped me lose another 65 pounds, and she took me into my first fitness and bodybuilding competition. So, it was pretty cool to see that transformation. And the way she dealt with me as a person made me feel special. She listened to me. She actually took the time to figure out what my body was doing. So guess what? That went ding, 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 ding. I worked at Intel for 21 years, and here in Rio Rancho, they were always threatening to close us down. So they're like, have a backup plan. So my backup plan started to be this. I started doing research. I got certified to be a nutritional specialist. I was really big into competitions already. So I was competing 2-3 times a year. I was learning how to manipulate my body. And from that, couple of competitors, they're like, can you train me? I see what you do. And we've seen you've lost all this weight. Can you help us? Like, well, I'll try it for fun, right? And I started off with about 3 people 5 years ago. And I work with over 195 to 205 people on average, week over week. And my program gets results at the end of the day. I use what my coach told me about listening, being compassionate, being able to get the root of the cause for most people, right? And really understand what they're going through. The way I designed my program was with process control. So I used a lot of my engineering, analytics, statistics to my benefit when I designed my own program. So it's not one that I went and stole from somebody, or, I'm using an app online. Everything is designed by me. My food list, the way I do my calculations, the way when you come in and I check you in, it's all me, right? So at the end of the day, I use those statistics and analytics to be able to baseline a person's body. What I do is called macro dieting. So this macro dieting is based upon weights and measurements. So you're tasked to weigh and measure your food daily to ensure that you stay on task. Now, here's the thing about that. If you start to, guess and, I got this, I could eyeball it. Well, here's the thing. Undereating is the same as overeating, right? Almost the same. Undereating will have your body and your metabolism just shut down. You won't lose no weight, and you're doing all this hard work and dedication. You're like, I'm on point, I'm working out. Now you're not losing weight. Why? Because you're not fueling your body with enough energy source. Now, overeating, you're going to start to gain weight, especially if you start putting a little bit extra meat, or you start eating more nuts or eggs, or, the big one for most of my clients is almond butter. That stuff tastes pretty good, and people don't know how to control it, right? So at the end of the day, what I do is I give them accountability, offer them support, we communicate, and we definitely get them results, and we show them how their body reacts with foods, and we give them a nice baseline so not only they can reach their goal, but now they could get longevity. What I tell all my clients is I can make anybody lose weight. That's easy. I have the science figured out. But now what I got to do is make this sustainable for your lifestyle so that it doesn't impede your work, impede your lifestyle. Some people have different schedules. They travel. I have doctors that are in surgery all day long. How do you adjust this plan to make your lifestyle successful? And that's what I do. I break down all the barriers. I come up with solutions, just like what I would at Intel when I'd be troubleshooting a process or creating a process. And I give them their process for their life. And we make sure that each week we're still hitting their goals and their marks. Now, some people come to me and they're like, that's not what I want to do. I just want to learn how to eat a little bit healthier and make some changes. Well, then I don't baseline them. And I tell them results may vary, but here we are. We'll get you something that works for you. So at the end of the day, what I do is I provide people with a new lifestyle, something that's hopefully sustainable. But with anything, if you sidetrack yourself, you're going to gain the weight back like anything, right? So what I tell people is if you can live most of your life here on this line, then you pick and choose what's important, and when you celebrate or when you have supposedly cheat meals, then you'll be more successful going forward. For example, the Super Bowl was last week, Valentine's is this week. People have to make a hard decision for me. You got to pick one out of two, right? If you pick Super Bowl and you didn't tell your girlfriend or wife you picked Super Bowl and you're not going to celebrate Valentine's, there's a lot of people that are unhappy with me this week. But right, you're going to take the hit by the scale and maybe make your wife unhappy, right? Or your girlfriend. So, at the end of the day, that's kind of the short. What I do is I baseline your body. You come in weekly. We make the adjustments based upon your progress. I just don't cut to cut. And then I give you the opportunity to go ahead and make changes. What I do is called process control. Everything that I do fits in this little box. This is called success. There's 8 to 10 factors out here that I know cause this box to kind of move around and sometimes explode. What I'm able to do based upon the statistics weekly is to tell people what they did before they even know what they want to admit to what they do. Some people come in and they're honest, and some people do it unintentionally. I had this woman come in today. A friend gave her some red chili powder. Well, up north, they're real notorious for putting sodium and salt into their chili powder. And she's like, I was on mark. We started going through everything. What do you think? This friend gave her the red chili powder. She gained 2 to 3 pounds from the sodium and the red chili powder, but she was on mark. So I was able to see her body fat reduce, but her inches in weight increase. Red flag right away for me. So I was able to help her break it down and say, we got to stop that. We got to take it out 3 to 5 days from now. That sodium will be out of your body and you'll be progressing again. So, for me, it's all about knowing what the body's doing and how it's reacting to the foods and nutrients you're feeding it all the time.
That's awesome. Lisa, tell us a little bit about how you entered into this program and what you've seen.
Well, the reason why I entered into the program, first of all, is Isaac is my brother, so that helps. But initially, I entered into it because I had recently, this was 2 years ago, I had been diagnosed with a brain tumor, so I had brain surgery. After my brain surgery, I was unhappy, I was unhealthy, and I didn't want to live that way anymore. So he was already doing his program, and at a certain point, I made the decision that finally I needed to talk to him and see how he can help me, which is hard to do when you're talking to your family because it's not something that you want to necessarily talk about, especially with people that you know, because you don't really want anybody knowing what your way really, that's something you like to keep secret. But eventually I went to talk to him and he got me set up on his program. I did two sessions, 2 different sets of 13 weeks. And going through the program, once you're on it, it's really easy if you're in the right mindset. What makes it hard is if you're not in the right mindset, because then you start making excuses as to a cheat day here, but you have to be in the right mindset. And with his help during those 2 periods, I was able to lose almost 60 pounds.
That's awesome. Yeah. Speaking of cheat days, I'm 2 weeks into my diet that I'm working on, and I've seen some okay results. And I was talking to Andy about it, and he was like, "Man, you got to." He's like, I lost X amount of weight in X amount of days. And I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of behind the 8 ball on this. And meanwhile, I'm over here like, yeah, let's have a cheat day just because I'm burnt out from the weekend and didn't want to put the time and effort into figuring out what we were doing for lunch and dinner today. So talk to us a little bit, Isaac, about what you see as the biggest struggle for people who are trying to lose weight.
I believe the biggest struggle for people is not using food as socialization, right? Or as a crutch when it comes to feelings. For me, food was my crutch, whether I was happy, sad, depressed, any feeling I was feeling, that was the way that I dealt with it. The other thing was socially, coming from a Hispanic background, everything that we ever celebrated was through food, right? Any celebration, involved food, right? So it wasn't healthy food at that, right? So I think the biggest struggle is, like Lisa indicated, was changing that mindset. do I have to celebrate everything? Do I have to go to a party and eat? Do I got to go to a social event and eat? No, you don't have to, especially if you have goals and you want to stay on track within your goals. But like I say, there are times that you can enjoy, but those got to be limited compared to all the time, right? You don't want it to be bump, 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 because then exponentially your weight's going to rise as well too. So I think the biggest struggle for people is changing that mindset that we don't have to celebrate everything and not using food as a crutch or, to fill a void in your life, right?
Yeah, basically the reason why we have you on, you and Lisa, first of all, thank you, Lisa, for coming on. Even though you're sick, you let us know before in the pre-show. Thanks for taking your time to come out and help us out with the show today. But something you keyed on, Isaac, which is really important for us, that mindset, right? And again, going back, the reason why we asked Isaac to come on is if for us self-defense guys, if you're too big to run, you're too big, you can't last more than 5 seconds in a fight, it's going to be difficult for you to even get to a gun or get to a safe place or run or whatever you're going to use your tactical tennis shoes, etc. But mindset, I always love the term mindset because that's what we have to do in self-defense. And it's the same thing that we have to do in dieting. For me, I'm a foodie. I love food. I love to eat. I love to eat good food here in New Mexico. I believe we have some of the best food in the United States. And it's that balance, exactly what Isaac is saying. I can't eat all that stuff every single day. So now with this weight plan that I'm on with Isaac, I get to really enjoy food even more because it's, every few weeks we'll get a little cheat meal, and that just makes everything much better. So Isaac, tell me more about your basic plan. Like, what kind of food do people eat? What's in the plan? What does it look like?
So basically, I have different plans. The most common one that someone would start off with would be balance, which is 50% protein, 30% carbs, 20% fats. We would have an array of a meat for protein, maybe substitute with powder if necessary. We'd have carbohydrates, but they'd be clean carbohydrates, right? Then we'd have a good source of fats. And that's how we'd kind of baseline your body the first couple of weeks. Now, as we progress through the program, what I do is I do some manipulations with the fats and the carbs and the proteins to determine how the body reacts and what's optimal for your body. Now, I know what works well for men and women, but I still take them through the same baseline so that they can have the output and decide for themselves at the end. Plus, it gives them at least 3 to 4 different meal plans within the first 13 weeks. Now, they do another 13 weeks, I have some more plans for them, and we go ahead and get into something a little bit different, something that I like to do and where I stay. And it's called intermittent fasting. And that's only because I'm so busy. I know that intermittent fasting, people are like, oh, it's the best thing ever. It's going to give me the most results. No, it's a scheduling thing. It's for those people that have hard schedules and can't eat all the time, 5 to 7 times a day, like most people think you got to do. So for me, it's a scheduling thing. I still eat calories. I still need fuel for energy. And that's the number one thing is fueling your body for energy source. Most people, like myself, I used to have an apple a day. And then I'd go home and I'd be like, ooh, I earned it today. I worked hard. I'd go have a burger, fries. I'd eat my food, my wife's food, and my kids' food. 4,000 calories, 5,000 calories in one sitting. Now, all week long, I'd be like, oh, I did good all week. Now, here comes Friday night. 10,000 calories from Friday to Sunday night. I'd feel like crap. Monday morning, I wouldn't want to go to work. And I had like a food hangover from the weekend, right? So that was a bad thing for me. And that was something that I could justify every week because I was starving myself, right? Well, that didn't work for me. And my body was shutting down and wasn't getting me the results I was looking for anyway, right?
That makes sense. Lisa, what is this? Talk to us a little bit from a student's perspective. What does the program look like for you? What was that first week of meal plans and what? Yeah, let's go ahead and answer that. And then I got a couple follow-up questions for you. But yeah, what does that week look like?
The first week is hard because you're coming off sodium. And sodium is a different kind of drug that you never knew was a drug. You have a big sodium hangover. Basically, you're kind of detoxing from all the sodium that you have in your body. So you do that first week have some headaches. But the food is really easy to adjust to because you go to some diet plans and they're very complicated. They want you to use lots of different seasonings and things that you've never heard of. If you ever look at a cooking meal plan, it's very complicated. And his plan is so easy. You realize how much you love waffles. They're the best things that you've ever eaten in your life. And you look forward to them every single morning. But it's just really easy. There's not a lot of There's meal prep, of course, but it's not complicated meal prep. You're eating your protein, your vegetable, and depending on what part of the week you're at, maybe a carb or then your snacks. But it's really easy to prep where honestly, it's the easiest diet you could ever do. And it gives you great results if you stick with it.
That's awesome. So when you're talking about the sodium withdrawals and the sodium hangover, what do you equate that? So Isaac, is that something that, I've looked at different diets, and, I've kind of fallen in for a couple fad diets. And, I did a diet a couple years ago where I lost 25 pounds in a month, and I was like, man, this was awesome. And then I was like, oh, I earned all these other calories. And then I blew up to bigger than I've ever been. But what makes you key in on the sodium? What does that do?
Sodium causes water retention. So most people that come to me are swollen in their face and in their body, right? Because most of the foods we eat, especially from restaurants or, a lot of the packaged stuff that is very easy, has thousands of milligrams of sodium. Now, recommended is about 2,000 to 2,500 milligrams a day, right? And one sitting at, say, McDonald's or Carl's Jr., you could probably consume that in one meal. Right? So now you start consuming excess amount of water retention. Not only, I don't know if you guys ever notice your wedding ring, or your shoes ever felt a little bit tighter. Equate that to what you ate the day before or that day. And it might have been something high in sodium. So sodium is going to make you swell up. And I see it statistically every week, especially in the people that cheat when they're already on my program, right? So I'll detox you over the first 2 to 3 weeks. We'll reduce your sodium. And I control it. I don't take it all the way out, but I make sure I control it so that I can see the sensitivity. Plus, it changes your palate. If you have that palate that changes where you don't feel like you got to salt and have everything salty. Now, here's the thing. I went to Hooters probably after the first 6 months of doing this. And I used to love the 3 Mile Island drumsticks, right? And guess what? I couldn't even eat one of them. My tongue felt like it swelled up. My feet instantly at the booth felt like like Mr. Clump, like my feet were busting out of my shoes, right? And that was a big eye-awakening for myself, right? But everybody that's in my program sees the same thing, and their palate changes, and they're now sensitive to sodium, right? And they don't need all that season, the stuff that's packaged or the fast food or even the sit-down restaurant food doesn't taste the same anymore because we're so clean, right?
Yeah, with that, I noticed that's one thing that I did notice as I went through and I cut out all added sugars, and I noticed that palate change specifically for sweet food, and it's so I can imagine what it would do for sodium and for sodium intake. Lisa, talk to us a little bit about what you're eating nowadays and what does that look like for folks that have gone through the program, and what are you doing to sustain it past the 13-week mark?
Well, I actually rejoined his program again this year. I kind of had a tough year. I had to go through radiation last year, so my life somewhat fell apart. So I rejoined his program again just a few weeks ago. So I'm kind of back on the wagon. So.
Awesome. What is that? So I guess Andy, let me kick that question over to you, man, because you're going through the program. I know you're the host, the co-host here, but what do your meals look like?
I want to start really quick with the beginning of the meals, because many people hear the word diet, right? And you kind of freak out like, oh crap, I can't eat. I'm not going to have enough food. I'm going to be starving all the time. Let me tell you, like the first 2 weeks, were probably the hardest for me. Number one, because I love salt. Garlic salt is my best friend. The second thing is when Isaac gave me my first meal plan, I was like, hey, this seems kind of like a lot of food. And it was getting to a point to where I had to force myself to eat everything because I was so full. I even texted most of my family is with Isaac as well. I even had to text my brother-in-law. I'm, hey, dude, do I have to eat all this food? And he's like, yes, do it. Suck it up and eat the food. And, you think diet and you think right away that you're going to be starving. Man, I had to force myself to eat everything. But the key is the right food. So now, as it progresses, I'm in my second 13 weeks now. Even still, I have kind of a lot of food. If you think of 5 ounces of chicken, it's about the palm of your hand-ish. And for dinner, I get 6 ounces of 99% fat-free turkey. It's a lot of food. I still have to force it down. So if a plan like Isaac's, or Isaac's plan specifically, don't think that you're going to starve because usually you get more than enough food. So for me, breakfast is 2 eggs, some chicken, half a cup of vegetables. Lunch, some chicken breast, half a cup of vegetables, and an ounce of cashews. For dinner, 6 ounces of turkey, a cup of vegetables, and what's the other thing? Oh, I get 2 eggs again. So believe it or not, it's a lot of food. Thanks to Isaac, he's changed our lives. I'm down roughly 45 pounds in a matter of a few months. So, man, I mean, I could go on, but he's changed our whole family's life. And Isaac, thank you so much for everything you do for us. I really, truly appreciate it. My goal in the beginning was just to support my wife because she started it first. And I'll tell you a story really quick. I'll tell you how much of a jerk I am. So my wife is going to Isaac. She's coming home on a Thursday evening. She's food prepping all of her food for the week. As she's cooking, I'm sitting there eating a handful of Oreo cookies and a big old glass of milk, and I just sat there, right? What a jerk, So I'm sitting there watching her bust her butt, trying to lose weight and do this thing 100%. And here's Fat Andy over here eating cookies. I just got up, grabbed the trash can, and I walked over to everything that I loved, and I started dumping it in the trash. And she looked over at me, and she's like, what are you doing? I said, that's it. I'm doing this. And she's like, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'm doing it. Literally, I'm the fattest guy in the whole family. Why the hell am I not on this plan? And that started for me. So he's changed my life. My goal was just to get healthy. Now I actually have a goal that I really want to achieve. So it's addicting too. You start seeing these results, a lot of these funky diets. And I have a question for you after this, Isaac. A lot of these fad and funky diets, you start doing it and it's on and on and on, and you see 1 pound weight loss. Man, I lost 10 pounds week 1, just getting rid of all the sodium and crap in my body. So that right away, it's like, hey, 10 pounds down? Hell yeah, I'm doing this. And it's just progressive, 1 to 5 pounds a week. Next thing you know, you look up and you're weighing as much as you were in your 20s. It's amazing. It brings tears to my eyes when I think about it. So, one more time, thanks, Isaac. My question is, fad diets. What do they look like? What's wrong with the most famous one? There's a Twitter war going on with Jillian Michaels and a couple other people. She thinks the keto diet is very dangerous, and I just wanted your take on it. Give us your thoughts.
So here's the thing with fad diets. Most of them are designed for the individual person. So are they going to work for you? Probably not, because you're going to be undereating or overeating. There are calculations that you should run based upon your body size and some other measurements to determine how many calories can actually fill your body. And that'll be also varied upon how active you are as well and how many calories you burn on a daily basis, which I take into account with my clients, right? So that's the first thing about fad diets. They're not designed for an individual person. So you could go online, do all the research you can, and it'll give you a general description of what you should do, right? Now, is that certain size going to get you the results that you should? No, just like people in my program. If Andy is to go share his meal plan with his wife, his mother-in-law, his brother-in-law, and his friends at work, do you think everybody's going to get the same results as Andy? Oh, no, they're not, right? So here's the thing about fad diets and talking about keto. So when keto first came out, I got on board, I researched it, I learned how to do it. But here's the thing about keto, okay? It is very high fats. If you eat the right fats, you can be successful. But where you come into issues is you get your body to be acidic by having such high fats and no carbs. So not only do you get bad breath, but you get bad body odor, right? And the thing that they don't tell you about keto is that if you're a cheater and you like to have carbs, now you're going to get the keto flu, which will put you down and out at least for a week. And anybody that's done keto and gotten the keto flu, I did it once to myself by mistake. It doesn't feel well. The other thing that you put at risk is getting the keto rash, which is not very good as well neither. Now, here's the thing about keto. I started off with healthy fats, but then again, once again, they start coming out with all these products. I could get you in keto in 3 days with a pill. I could get you in keto with ketones. I can get you in keto by giving you bacon, turkey, sausage, bullet coffees. Now they're putting thousands of milligrams of coffee or of fats in their diets. And the problem with that is I have about 15 to 20 doctors in my program right now. Imagine me with doctors, right? I trip out on that as well too. So here's the cool thing about that. All of them tell me the same thing. These people with keto might lose 10, 20, 30 pounds, but now they're coming in with heart disease, clogged arteries. They're having hypertension, and they're dying at young ages. Why? Because they're eating too much fats in their diet and not the correct fats. There's certain fats. There's good fats and bad fats. But if I give you the choice of healthy fats or bad fats, what are you going to pick? Let me ask you a question. Cheese or deep fried foods over, say, raw almonds or almond butter. Which one would you pick?
Now raw almonds and almond butter. But
yeah, that's unfair.
I just had the best fried chicken sandwich that I've had.
Right.
So give me the
fried chicken, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take on keto, right? Now, is it effective for losing weight? For some people it is, but like you gotta look at the sustainability. Can you be in keto long term and know how to get yourself in and out of keto without getting the keto flu and now putting your job at stake or your family life by being sick for a week? Now that's what you got to consider with these fad diets, right? Can they be sustained? And for example, in keto, if you reintroduce carbs in your body, can you do it safely without getting the keto flu, right? And most people can't.
Yeah, Lisa, how did it work for you? Did you try any other fad diets or anything, or did you just come straight over to your brother since he was doing so amazing?
Oh, I tried tons of fad diets over the years. Every little thing you see, you try a little something here and there to see what works. And yeah, you'll lose a good 10 pounds, but then trying to lose weight thereafter is the hard part because you start to stall. And then you don't understand why. So what do? You start eating again because you're like, I'm not losing weight anyway, so might as well just eat. So yeah, I've tried a bunch of things on and off through the years.
Yeah, and there's so many out there. The Atkins diet, which is basically the keto diet, in my opinion, this day. Maybe Isaac can sure that up or not. But they're putting butter in coffee. What the hell? It's amazing to me. We have another friend that's actually a customer of Isaac's. He had a heart attack on the keto diet. So for me, it's very scary. I think it works great maybe for some people, some it doesn't, but I think it's really dangerous. And so what Isaac does with this plan, Lisa, you're able to eat different things too, right? It changes. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, depending on the week, you can get different foods, and you can also switch out your foods. So if 1 week you get really, really tired of eating turkey, you can say, hey, I need something different, and he's going to give you something different. So he's able to customize it to what you like or you don't like. Some people don't like eggs, so they want nothing to do with eggs, and he makes it work for you.
Yeah, and that's the key for Isaac, too, to be able to pick out what you like and what you don't and make that work for you. Another story, when my wife started, we watched this show because of my doctor on Netflix, and it was about eating meat. And my doctor was like, Andy, you just need to start eating more legumes and more vegetables, and you can eat all the vegetables you want. You're going to lose all this weight. And he said, go watch this video. And I can't remember what it was called. And he said, ignore all the stuff about PETA and killing animals and all the gross, nasty stuff at the end. But I want you to watch the details in there. So I said, okay. Came home. I was all pumped. And I told her, I said, let's watch this show. We watched it. And what did she focus on? all the gross, nasty stuff at the end where they were just showing horrible, disgusting things that the worst of the worst animals do. So when she came to Isaac, she said, "Hey, Isaac, I'm ready to do this plan. I'm pumped about it. But one thing, I don't eat meat. What can you do for me?" And Isaac looks at her and says, "And how's that working out for you?" And she just kind of like dumbfounded, and she's like, "Uh-oh." So he talked her into start eating lean chicken, turkey, some fish, and now today she eats meat. And I've got to brag for her. She's down over 65 pounds, all in thanks to what Isaac does. So, man, dude, I could just keep on just making your head get bigger here because you've changed our lives. So, Jeremy, you have any other questions?
Yeah, there's a listener question that I want to get to, but I wanted to comment that I've heard that documentary has made more people vegetarians than anything else. And what is it, Forks Over Knives or something like that? Is that the name of it?
That's it.
What's the deal with legumes? Because the fad diet, I don't want to call it a fad diet because it's more of a food detox system. But legumes, what's the deal with legumes? Because that's on the one that I'm currently on. I can't eat legumes. I also can't have dairy. A couple other things. But is there something that specific about that, or is that just probably a thing of this diet?
It's probably just a thing with that diet. And just remember, you said detox, right? There's no such thing as tea. There's no such thing as apple cider vinegar. Because if you're doing all that stuff and you're eating bad, you're reintroducing toxins back into your body. Now, I can naturally detoxify your body just by feeding you healthy food and drinking water. There's no fads. It's not going to speed up the process, right? At the end of the day, that's not what's going to happen. But as far as legumes, what you're asking is, for me, they're approved, right? And why? Because they're a healthy source of energy source, Now, if you're putting them in butter and oil and, you're putting chicharrones or bacon in there, well, it's probably not going to be as healthy anymore, right? Now you're changing what they're intended for, right? But they're a source of energy, and it just depends. There's certain foods that I don't feed people that other people will, and it's just depending on what you've seen. Now, I have actual statistical data to be able to back up why I feed and I don't eat certain foods. For example, most people don't know tomatoes, carrots, corn have high sugars. So guess what's the first thing I cut you off of? High sugar vegetables, right? And that's going to help reduce your weight size. So those are just some things that I know that I can do. And it's not that you'll never be able to do them, but you'll have to introduce them on that cheat meal that you earn or that you take, right? But to keep that waist nice and trim, guess what? We don't have those every day.
That makes sense. Yeah, I probably shouldn't use the word detox. It's more of for me, I'm using it to just stop eating crap, right? Like I don't want to, but it sounds like I'm going to probably probably visiting you here in the next couple of weeks. So we have a listener question from Joe. He asks, if you cramp up when you cut out the sodium, calf cramps, and if so, what helps you with this? So are there any, aside from the headaches, what could somebody else expect? What else would somebody expect to receive from reducing the amount of sodium they take into their body?
So just remember, there's a difference between cutting it out completely and reducing and controlling it, right? But if you are cramping up, that's usually associated with being dehydrated. That means you don't have enough hydration in your body. So what's going to fix that? Drinking water. And then if that still doesn't resolve it, I'd introduce some potassium in your body, not through bananas, because that's all sugars, right? But I would take actual potassium pills. But it sounds like he's dehydrated if he reduced his salt intake. And he should be at least getting 1 gallon minimum is what I tell people. Minimum, not on average, minimum. Right, Andy?
That's right. I'm close to 2 gallons a day. I think now I drink my gallon of water plus probably a ton of coffee, some tea, and some more water. And I'm constantly trying to force myself to drink, within reason, more and more water because it really does help. It makes you feel better. The big thing that kind of was interesting to me was when you start drinking water, you start getting thirstier because you want water. You know, and it's kind of interesting. Really going back to the vegetables really quick, Isaac talked about there's some vegetables that you're not allowed to have. Give us a couple of those vegetables that kind of surprise people when you tell them that that's out of the plant.
Well, since about September, I found an increase in broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts, right? So they come from the cabbage family. Those are high water retention vegetables. Generally, summer and spring, I don't see no weight gain, but this was the first year in 5 years I maybe even paid attention to it. But in September, I had about 72 of my clients gain weight. And I was like, you're eating cabbage. They're like, no. Well, what are you having? All of them had a common vegetable, which was either broccoli, Brussels sprouts, or cauliflower. So what do you think? I cut it out and they lost those 2 to 3 pounds. Now, here's the thing about that. I believe whatever they were using to keep them fresh during the fall and the winter season had them retain a little bit more water. And when you ingest them, you swell up, right? And what do you think? I cut it right out. Boom. Everything came back down. So that's a nice surprise. You know, I'll have people that come and they're having cauliflower rice. They eat cauliflower every day. It's healthy. It's good for me, right? Well, it is, but you might see a weight gain associated with eating that at this time. Now, I'm going to run my experiment now in the spring and see if we could reintroduce it back into the meal plan. But for right now, I make people only eat it as a cheat, or they don't eat it at all if they want the results that they're looking for, right?
Come on, man. You want people to eat cauliflower and broccoli as a cheat meal? Lisa, this guy crazy or what?
I didn't.
Yeah, I would never, ever eat any of that food as a cheat meal.
Right. You know,
hey,
broccoli.
I have people that love that stuff and they get mad at me, believe it or not.
Wow. I tried to eat cauliflower and mashed potatoes once, and it was the most disgusting thing in the world.
You know, broccoli was one of mine too. I was one of those 72. And it's funny, before you're so swollen, you don't even know what's going to make you gain weight or retain water, none of that stuff, until you can actually get down and actually see what your body does. So that was really eye-opening for me. Another one was shocking, and every time I tell everybody, is tomatoes. When you tell people you can't eat tomatoes, what? Why can't you eat tomatoes? What's wrong with you?
Or no salsa.
Exactly. We're in New Mexico, man. That's a staple. Red chili, green chili, and salsa. Man, that was a tough one.
Yes, I understand, but now I can't have salsa?
Nope.
But you can have red or green chili, right, Andy?
Lisa? That's right. You can have all the red and green chili you want, as long as it's in half a cup little thing.
Yeah, I live on green chili. That's my vegetable of choice.
What does the online program look like for folks? So for people that aren't able to get to, that don't live in Albuquerque, they're not able to do the weekly in-person check-ins. What does that online program look like for those folks?
Basically, like I indicated, I designed my own program. We'll meet initially for about 45 minutes to an hour. They'll take their own measurements, which I send them a video on how to take their own measurements. Based upon those measurements, I fill in and populate their whole program as we talk based upon those measurements. So we'll have a conversation. We'll go through the whole plan, go through the do's, the do nots. We'll set up their workout plan, and then they start. The preceding week, they send all their measurements. I'm able to determine how their week proceeded based upon their goals. And then we review. Those statistics tell me everything, whether we're in person or they're remote. So we're able to talk about their week. We make their changes based upon my inputs. And then if they need changes, they make their changes. And then if we need to change their exercise around or troubleshoot, or if they had a tough week or something just didn't go right, we talk about it. And we go ahead and break down the root of the cause, and then we proceed forward. And now, if they need support during the week, they text me or they call me, and we give them that support that they need to keep on proceeding. Just like anybody that would come to me in person, you know, a lot of the people that come to me in person, they text me all the time. The ones that really want to learn and those that really want to get the most out of this, they're going to ask the most questions, right?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I had to close the door. My daughter's coming home and the dogs are going to start barking. Anyway, you know, we've talked a lot about weight loss because, you know, for Jeremy and myself anyway, we're the fatties on the show. We usually have Judson, and Judson, he's busy with the wife tonight. 6'4", and I think 102 pounds, maybe 103 pounds on the best day. Yeah.
Oh, so he gained a couple pounds.
Yeah, he did over the weekend. He had some pizza. But you don't do just weight loss, right, Isaac? You can do other things. Tell us about those.
Oh, once again, I'm a competitive bodybuilder, so, I'm always looking at putting on more muscle mass. But here's the thing about me. I'm a natural competitor, so I don't take steroids. So I might be a little bit less in weight, but I'm able to keep a better body size just because of the way I work out and the way I feed myself. So here's the thing. Weight loss is really easy because it comes really quickly. Putting on muscle mass takes a little bit longer. And the way you feed somebody plays into that. So I actually come up with a statistical analysis of how to determine how much fat and how much muscle you're gaining or losing for those that are losing weight or trying to put on muscle. And that plays into your workouts and how I feed you. So I'm able to give you a statistical snap point of if you're building muscle or you're losing muscle, or if you're losing fat or gaining weight. And, basically it's the same thing. You go through the same program, although you got to be a little bit more patient because you're not going to put on 5 to 20 pounds unless you're on steroids, right? Now, here's the thing. You might put on 2 to 5 pounds in a year, but it's going to be lean, hard muscle. I don't know if you've ever seen what 5 pounds of fat looks like. It's about that big. It's nice and jelly, and it looks pretty disgusting, right? Well, imagine 2 to 5 pounds of hard muscle, right? So that's a difference in the way you look at fat and muscle, but it is a longer process. And just remember, I try and tell people being called fat is just as being derogative as being called skinny, and most people that are skinny, it's harder for them to put on the weight and they don't have no idea, right? So it's harder for somebody to even feel comfortable in their own skin when they're being called skinny all the time. Because to me, that's a derogative connotation as well as being called fat, right?
Yeah, you're right. I know people.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was going to say, I know, aside from Judson, I know other folks that have struggled with weight gain, and I don't think it's something that people realize that, that is it's not easy. For the longest time, I remember I got into an argument with my best friend. Went to high school together, played football together. We went and played some Division III football together. And I remember we had an argument in the dorm room one night, and he's like, "You'll never be 200 pounds." Cause I went up there, I was 6'3", like 115 pounds, 125 pounds, something like that. He's like, "You'll never be," and now here I am, I'm bigger than he is. And he was a big kid. But it's all unhealthy. Like I gained it over 10 years, but it's just been a bunch of just, like the 5 pounds of fat. So I think that's interesting, and that's an interesting topic to discuss. But Andy, I cut you off. Sorry about that, buddy.
No, that's okay. So for the record, I totally agree. I have another friend who's even skinnier than Judson, and we don't make fun of him because it is a sensitive subject. As far as Judson, I don't care because he makes fat jokes with me all the time. So he's my brother, so I'm gonna pick on him all day. But I totally agree, Isaac. That in general, it's a mental thing for everyone. And I have one more question for you. What does it look like for people that come see you that are having health issues? High cholesterol, high blood sugar, heart disease, maybe some other diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, anything like that you see that has come and gone since they've been on your program?
Well, here's the thing. First of all, they got to get the clearance from the doctor to be in a program like this anyways, right? And then we take into those factors. For example, one of the coolest ones that I see within the first month is people that come with hypertension, right? And they're usually taking medication. Just by reducing your sodium, most of those people cut their pills in a month, right? And, when it comes to diabetes, high cholesterol, you have to have at least a starting point in your starting numbers so that when we progress and you go retest, you'll be able to see that. But I had this one woman, she was type 1 diabetic. She had insulins of 13 or A1Cs of about 13.1. In about 15 to 16 weeks, I was able to get her from 13.1 down to about 6.7, which is still a little bit high, but you can imagine how much that reduced the amount of insulin she is taking. And I like to describe that as one way. Same thing with thyroid. No, doctors will give you all the medications in the world. Why? Because you can't control your diet, right? So they give you more medication so you could be more unhealthy. So if they change that mindset and showed you, and they don't have the time to show you how to be healthier, but you could probably get a lot of these medications just by improving your diet. But most people don't have the resources. Lots of people are trying, I was a target for people. I wanted to lose weight. So, skinny people take this, fit people take this, but they've never been through the struggles. So I was willing to take it all because I didn't know what to do at the time. I just wanted to try and lose weight. So here's the thing about diseases. They can be controlled, some of them through diet, and some of them can't. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is give yourself longevity. What I tell a lot of my clients is one of the things that you want when you get older in life is you don't want to suffer from things that you can control. What I tell everybody, there's two things in life you need to survive: food and water. You get on a daily basis to control what you put in your body. Now, workouts are nice to have. That'll change the physical dynamics of your body. But food and water is what's necessary to live on a daily basis. And you get the choice to put that in your body on a daily basis. So as you get older, we don't want to depend on our kids or our family members to take care of us, especially if we have diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, high cholesterol, sleep apnea. Now, those are things that we could control based upon our diet, right? We can't control cancer. We can't control arthritis, some of those other, diseases that are out there. But guess what? That's one thing that we can control. And it's one of the things that will give you longevity going forward as well.
So the diet that I've done with, and I don't know if I want to call it success or not, but while I was on it and while I was doing it, I saw some good results. It was the Whole30. Have you heard of the Whole30 diet, and what are your thoughts specifically on that style of dieting?
I haven't. I don't have too much education on it, just because I try not. Some of the fads I'll take a look at, or if people come and tell me, "Well, I'm doing this," well, I don't even want that information in my head because I have a program that's designed to work. But now, somebody comes to me with a version, or why can't I do this, or why can I do that? Once again, it might provide results, but can you do this long term, or can you adapt a version of it to give you that longevity going forward? Is always going to be my first question for you, right? So it might be able to get you to a certain place, but what do you do after you get to a plateau? Ask Andy. Have you ever really been in a plateau, Andy?
Oh, yeah. I started out at 299 pounds a year ago, and I worked and started doing things that I thought were going to make me lose weight. I got to 282, and I stayed there for forever, for months and months and months, until I came to see you.
But have you ever been on a plateau since you've been with me for longer than maybe a week, maybe?
No. And if I ever changed to where I went up in weight, it was because of a cheat meal and I did something wrong.
And for you, Lisa, have you ever had a plateau on my program?
Oh, I actually have been very lucky to always lose weight every week on the program.
That's awesome. Yeah. So for me, it was, so I guess the way I explain the Whole30 to people is you cut out, and they go into it, and I guess they start off with the premise that it's not a diet, but I think most people that are on it they use it for a diet. But they claim, and what I've seen is that we have a lot of sensitivities to food that we're not aware of. The biggest one being like dairy and peanuts cause inflammation for a lot of people. So they don't know that, or they don't realize that. So I was consuming a bunch of stuff that, like dairy, like chocolate milk, man, that was my jam. Chocolate milk and a peanut butter sandwich, like that was my thing. I love that, and then to just melt the stress away. So after the 30 days, they want you to reintroduce some things, right? They want you to stay off the added sugars and that kind of stuff, but you're able to reintroduce legumes and in dairy and kind of see how your body reacted. But, my personal results with it is I lost about 25 pounds, maybe a few pounds beyond that in the 30 days that I was on it. But what you're talking about with longevity and sustaining it is, man, it was before. So I was at like 277, and my goal weight is 225. That's where I want to get back to. And I was down to like 250, and I was at like 252, 251, somewhere in that range. And then after that, I just blew up. Like now I'm starting this diet. I'm starting again, just because I want to break myself from eating the added sugars, right? And the fruit snacks, cut that stuff out. Cause that was my, fruit snacks I could live on fruit snacks. But it was, so start on that. I was over 300 pounds, and I was talking to Andy. I was like, man, I'm down to like 290 right now. 289 is where I'm at. And he was like, he's been telling me, he's like, you got to talk to Isaac, man. You got to get with Isaac. You got to get with Isaac. My biggest concern is not being able to stick with it. So what do you do? What happens for your folks? Is that a problem you see with people? And if so, how do you handle that? Where it's somebody, they come, they sign up, they say, I want to do this, but they really don't want to do it because I want to lose weight. I just don't want to do the stuff that it's going to take to lose weight, like stop eating like crap. Right.
And that's what I do from the coaching perspective. So ask Andy and Lisa, every week that you come in, I listen to your concerns. We really talk about how your week is going, if there's any barriers, and I make you feel comfortable in your environment. And say, for example, you're struggling. Well, do I let you wait till your next appointment? No, I say be proactive rather than reactive. So guess what? I can fix it, or at least give you that support or talk you off the cliff before you actually jump off the cliff, right? So I give you that level of support so that you can be successful. Now, after your 13 weeks, you have the option to keep on going like Andy and his wife, right? Or like Lisa, she took a break. She had a rough year. She gained some of her weight back. She came back, right? She's learning how to make it work for her with her new circumstances. Because here's the thing. Is your life always going to be the same? No. Circumstances changes, jobs change, health changes, relationship changes. These are all factors that could change how you eat on a daily, weekly, yearly basis, right? That's for us to come up with a new program to make it integrated into your lifestyle, right? Now, if you're not ready, you're not going to be ready. Just for example, you're doing this thing again. What happens after you reintroduce those foods? They're all packed with fats and sugars again. You're going to blow up again, right? So if you can keep with your whole 30 going forward, guess what? You're going to lose 25 pounds or something an average month over month. Now, if you reintroduce, you're going to blow back up because guess what? Are you going to be disciplined enough to only eat a portion and measure it out and see what works best with your body? You're just going to say, woo, chocolate back, cheese is back, whatever it is, right? You're going to not have any regimentation. No, you talk about your fruit snacks. Well, I see you're drinking apple juice over there. Just terrible, right? Sugar's up the wazoozies, right? Unless you squeeze those apples yourself, I don't believe that's a good version, right?
Yeah,
you're already busted with coaching in trouble. Get off that damn juice. Get some water, man. We need some hydration. Yeah. So, those are just things that you'll look at, and keep in mind that when it comes to longevity, you have to stick with something. And if you do want to celebrate or have something of reward, it has to be every now and again. And this has to be your lifestyle going forward. So even if you get to 20 to 25, right, at 6'3", that's still considered obese for a 6'3" person, right? Now, if you want to keep on going, you'll know how to sustain that. But if you want to get down to like 200, 205, 210, ripped and stripped, well, it's going to take a little bit harder work there. Now, instead of being over here at 290, you're over here at 225. And now to get to that wall or to that goal, you're going to have to work double, triple hard. And it's not only going to be nutrition, it's going to be workouts and how you do your daily activity on a daily basis. The people that come with me, to me, that need to lose 10 to 15 pounds, way harder than the people that need to lose 60, 100, 150 pounds, right? Because they're going to see that initial weight loss. Now, you come here, you might get those first 10 to 12 pretty easy. Now, to get the last 10 to 12, you're going to have to work your butt off, just like anything in life, right? You want a promotion, you want a brand new car, you got to put in those hours to make the money to be able to make that work, right? Just like anything in life, nothing comes easy. Being healthy is a function of discipline. And, discipline is hard for a lot of people because food is so easily available, even more than drugs, right? I can go get a donut for 25, 30 cents, right? That donut's going to kill me every day if I have one.
Yeah. That's my problem. I turn to food. And it's not just food in general, but there are things that, like fruit snacks and some sweets and stuff. So that's interesting. So 225 is still considered overweight and obese. What 6'3", what's a good healthy weight for somebody for a guy that's 6'3"? Where should my goal be?
I'd say about 200 to 210, depending on your body fat percentage, right? So if you're a flabby 200 to 210, you probably want to go lower than that. But if you have that good muscle memory, you can get away with being 210 at, less than 25% body fat. So here's the thing. For women, normal body fat's between 25 and 29%. For men, it's between 20 and 25%. Okay, and that's just normal. Fit and athletic are other categories for both men or women that you can get into. I live in essential fat, which is less than 8% body fat, but I know how to do that, and I don't have to be doing thousands of hours of cardio. I know how to make my body stay there and stay with abs year round because I'm more disciplined on my meal plan. I barely learned that as of last year. Okay, and that's what, after doing it after 10 years, I used to treat myself a lot, and I would go up to like 190, 195 in my off season when I wasn't competing. Now I'm able to stay between 165 and 170, and I'm 5'9". My optimal weight is 169, right? So I'm able to stay within those ranges. And if I go over 169, I know that my limit's 175. So I'm able to bring myself back within a week, generally. Especially like, for example, my birthday is last week and we went to Vegas. Sodium, I gained 13 pounds in 5 days, right? I came back, I've lost 8 pounds in 4 days. That's just by drinking a lot of water and getting back to business. And that's how it works, right?
That's awesome. Andy, I think you had something.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on something really briefly, and I can ask Lisa about this. But for me, really quick, so Isaac's more of just a weight loss guy. You don't just walk in there. He measures all your stuff, puts you on the scale and says, okay, here's what you eat. Have a nice day. Go home. Isaac's a counselor too. And, he's not a licensed counselor, but as he said, he asks you, how was your day? What'd you do? What was your struggles? What's going on in your life? There's many people that go and work with Isaac because they have some emotional struggles with weight loss, much like Isaac did when he started. And to just be able to sit and talk to Isaac and just explain to him and talk to him just like another human being, hey, this week was rough. Something happened in my life. I'm struggling, yada, yada. Isaac's really good at talking to people and being able to get you back on track with your goal, and also being able to empathize with stuff that's going on in your life. Lisa, you mentioned you had some issues, and I'm so glad that you're working through your stuff and you're getting better. But do you have that same experience with Isaac?
Well, yeah, because, he's my brother, so it's a little bit different with me. But, I've been there at the house where he's had clients, and the way he talks to his clients, he's so patient and understanding with them. He tries to do everything so gentle with his clients and just be really respectful to them. And I think he makes everybody feel at ease.
So I have a couple goals, right? So this year, we typically have some firearms related courses, and I think fitness and wellness and nutrition is a key component of that. And one of the things that I want to do, there's a couple classes that I've been wanting to take, and then I see it come up, and I'm like, man, I just can't do that class. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to die. I'm going to pass out or have a heart attack. So, looking at taking somebody who wants to come in for the weight loss, at what point what point do you consider introducing, I guess, a moderate level of workout into that? If you take somebody 6'3", 290 pounds, right, for example, just hypothetically speaking, at what point would you look at introducing a workout regimen with that?
So what we want to do is first get your nutrition on board, right? Once you can show proficiency on that, or you tell me, guess what, I'm ready for more, coach, we'll introduce it. But guess what? We start off slowly, and it goes in conjunction with your progress week over week. So it's kind of, we bring this progress together till we get to a nice balance of life for you, because not everybody can commit to certain or X amount of exercise per week. So we got to make sure that it's works for your schedule, and that I'm not trying to kill you, right? Because, I'll have people come to me 300, 350. Coach, I joined a boot camp, military style. We're going to be killing it. Dude, you're going to die. We don't want that, right? We want to give you a little bit at a time. What I always recommend for everybody is walking on an uphill walk on a treadmill. Best cardio you ever do in your life. You try it for 15 minutes, level 15, 3.5 miles per hour. Tell me how you feel the next week, okay? It's really hard, but it also gets you very conditioned. And, that's just an example. There's so many things that we can do within home workouts. If you go to a gym, if you do races, if you're at the fire range, Andy, how much you do for your cardio? I think he came up with a solution for him that works for him. And I think it's so amazing. It's so cool to hear him go from nothing to doing what he does now.
Yeah, so a lot of times, being firearms instructors, we're on the range a lot. This weekend, I was on the range all day Sunday. And Isaac, you'd be proud. I walked probably, I think, 4.6 miles total, being out there, just being on the range all day. That now, and that's important to talk about too. So in the beginning, Isaac didn't even have me work out anything. He's like, look, Andy, I just want you to learn how to eat right. And all that weight loss came from just learning how to eat right and drinking plenty of water. And then every week he starts, hey, I need you to start walking 30 minutes a day. And so I started doing that. Then it went to do some kettlebell training at home. And then now at work, anytime I go to the mailbox to check our mail for work, I sprint to the mailbox and I sprint back. Anytime we're on the range and I have to go to the bathroom, I run to the bathroom and run back. So that's what I kind of do now. And in addition to that, I spend some time doing kettlebells. I almost ruined that, right? I do kettlebells at home too now in the evenings. So it's moderate stuff. I'm not killing myself, like he said. And Isaac doesn't push you to do that. When you're ready, he pushes you, but at least get something done. And he kind of slowly adds that into your program. And that's what I really like about it as well.
That's huge. And I feel like we could stay on here, like most of these episodes, could stay on here for hours and hours more just talking about this. But I would like to give you guys the rest of your evenings back. So, Isaac, tell us where people can find out more about you. Are you doing, I know you have a website. If you want to give them the link to your website, it is down below in the description, and it will be in the show notes as well. But what's the best way to get a hold of you or to find out more about you, Isaac?
So all my information is on my website, but if people want to contact me, the best way is to text me, which is my phone number is 505-659-7224. And that's the best way to get a hold of me. And text is going to be the best way to at least get a hold of me because I see about 196 people a week. So I work 7 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week. And, at least the text, I have it there and I could return a message and then we could set up a phone call. And I'd say that would be the best way. But if you need program details, everything's on my website, including my story and my journey, which was, directed by Eric Martinez, of what I went through. And there's a lot that I went through, which played into my food addiction, right? So you'll be able to learn a little bit about me and what I do and why I do and how I become the person I am today.
That's awesome. And if you guys want to, the proof is in the pudding. If you go back to, some of our earlier episodes, I'm sure you can see it in Andy's face. If you've been watching us week over week, you might not notice the change, but go back in and look at Andy's face. And I know when I look back at, there's a couple episodes where I was feeling good after I lost some weight and I look really skinny in the face. And then I go back and watch some of these recent episodes and I'm like, oh man. So you can see me go from, oh man, you got a nice skinny face to holy cow, dude, you got a balloon face. You can kind of see the opposite with Andy. And being able to fight and defend yourself starts with nutrition. It's not always going to be about getting the firearm into the fight as quickly as possible. And a lot of altercations will start out with before the gun is introduced. So you need to be able to defend yourself and stay in that fight. So your nutrition and your wellness is critically important to your personal protection. So definitely go over to the website. It is, let me pull up that. It is, here we go. I thought, it's in the show notes, but I can't see it.
It's kingofkings-sn.com.
Yeah, I wanted to say King of Kings, but I knew that there was a -SN in there. kingofkings-sn.com to find out more about Isaac. His cell phone number is on that website, and he mentioned it just a few minutes ago. If you want to reach out to him via text, that way he'll get you set up with a phone call and see what he can do for you. You don't have to be local to him. It sounds like his online program is awesome, is kick-ass, and that might work out better for folks that are even local that don't want to get in there and face-to-face. But what parting advice do you have for our listeners, Isaac?
So just one thing, and it goes back to what you said when you're in a fight or an altercation. It's not only physical. In the art of war, it's all about mental. If you know your strategies and you can think and you can be quicker and alter your mind quicker than the person across from you, guess what? Your reaction times, everything's going to be better. So some last parting words I have for you is, if this is something that you've been looking to do for a long time and you don't want bad diets, you want to learn about your body, you want to improve not only yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, well, this is something that you might want to try, right? Is it for everybody? I can't say it is, but if you're truly ready to make the change in your life, I could help you with that change. And not only will you learn the education portion of it, but you get support. And I think Andy hit it right on the dot. For him and his wife, he needs a little different level of support than what she does. And most women do, right? They need that justification saying, yes, you're doing well. Or, if they're doing bad, you just don't get on their asses like maybe I'd get on Andy's, right? So, you have to have a level of compassion there as well, too. So I think that's one thing that I'll offer people. Last parting words is 2 things you got to do in life to survive. That's eat and drink. You got the choice to be able to put what you can in your mouth as far as food and drink. And that's what's going to make you healthier at the end of the day. It's not even the exercise. It's what you put in your mouth at the end of the day.
That's awesome. Love it. Lisa, do you have any parting advice for our listeners?
Give him a try. Like I say, it's so much easier than you think it's going to be. And I was a prime example of someone who could always lose 10 pounds and then get stuck, get frustrated, and sabotage yourself and start over. If you're in the right mindset to want to change, give him a try, and I guarantee he'll make you successful, including you.
That's all. Yeah, Andy's been pushing me, and that's probably going to happen sooner than later. Andy, what about you, man? You have any last thoughts?
Just to round it all up, Isaac's brought a lot of great points, even for self-defense. As he said, it's not just physical, it's mental. The mind clarity, being able to think faster, you're clearer at work. For me, I used to have a bad temper. That's gotten better as well, just because I'm not so hangry and sick, physically sick, just eating the crap that we eat all the time. So, he's, like I said, he's changed our life. He's changed my family, my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, my wife, our daughter even kind of watches and what we do, even though she doesn't even need it. So figure out something. When you're ready, and you'll know when that time comes. Come and see Isaac, because he'll change your life.
That's awesome. That's great stuff. We really appreciate everybody jumping on and watching with us today. Let's help change the image of the Second Amendment, man, because a lot of us are overweight. We carry the gun on our hip. Let's lose 5, 10, 15 pounds. That way you can maybe carry a bigger gun and do it comfortably. But more importantly, so you're healthy. If we're out here looking for the bad guy who's going to rob us at the ATM, and we're ignoring the bad guy that takes many more Americans than the bad guy, heart disease, obesity, and all those other health-related issues, what good is that gun on your hip going to do if you carry it around to save yourself from that gunfight that might not ever happen? But you could have lived another 10 or 15 years with your loved ones and your family, the people that really care about you, if you took better care of your health and who you were as a person. So think about it. If it's something that you've been wanting to do, jump over to Isaac's website, look at his story and what he's been able to do, and stop making excuses. The best advice I can give myself is stop making excuses and just start doing it. Remember, it's your life, it's your safety and protection, it's your responsibility. You guys have a good night.
Man, we really hope you enjoyed listening to that episode as much as we did interviewing and having our guests on. Be sure to share this with your friends and family and head over to patreon.com/afteractionproject. We'd love to have you on as a guest panelist, and be sure to check out those other rewards that we have for our Patreons.
If you're a recent graduate of a firearms-related training course and would like to join us on our show, or if you'd like us to review a specific firearm-related training course or instructor, shoot an email to show@afteractionproject.com. Remember to join a local firearms advocacy organization. As always, stay safe, shoot straight, and remember to secure your firearms so that unauthorized persons cannot gain access to them.